The Vikings and Rams played football last night, and a heck of a Thursday night football game, might I add. But there is always fallout when contenders in the NFC play each other, and what does it mean for the San Francisco 49ers? Well, I think the first thing that we just have to acknowledge is that the Rams are a scary team when they're fully healthy, aren't they? I mean, you give them Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Last week, they got their secondary all figured out. They got everybody back, so they're healthy there for the first time all year. They got a starting offensive lineman back this week on top of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, and that offense just shredded a very, very good defense in the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, we as 49er fans saw it up front, close and personal, as did the Texans, as did the Packers, but nobody was able to do to that defense, well, other than Jared Goff, oddly enough. But Stafford, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but absolutely went bonkers against that defense, and proving why he's still an elite quarterback in this league for anybody that doubted, which I'm sure plenty of you did. Matthew Stafford, still elite. But now we look up, in the San Francisco 49ers for a brief moment went from first place in the West to last place after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know what the Rams' schedule looks like the rest of the year, but I had made a bold prediction on the NFC West roundtable that if the Rams had beaten the Vikings, that the Rams would win the NFC West. And I didn't see anything last night that would tell me any different. I mean, this team is very, very good. They did this just last year, unlike the 49ers. I know that we keep talking about, like, well, the 49ers have been 3-5 and 2-4, and they've come back. But the Rams did it last year with essentially the same exact team, and in a very similar fashion, where they started out slow, had tons of injuries, and then just got people back after the bye week and were able to go on a run. That's exactly what they've started this year. They were 1-4 going into the bye week, come out of the bye week, get a couple players back, beat the Raiders, get more players back, beat the Vikings. This is something they just did, so I believe they can do it again. Now, the 49ers can do it again as well. The 49ers are not dead in the water, and if you look at the next 3 games, they're games that they should win. I mean, they're playing Dallas, who they absolutely own. Dallas is without a couple of their best defenders in Bland and Parsons, so I know the 49ers are obviously banged up, but it looks like Debo and Kittle are going to play, so that should be good enough. And then you've got a bye week, and then you play Tampa without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That should be a win. Might be getting CMC back for that game. And then you play Seattle. And Seattle is getting healthy at the right time, so that game might be tougher on paper than it was the last time around. But at the same time, the Seattle Seahawks are a team, and Geno Smith, that cannot beat the San Francisco 49ers. So that could be a 3-game win streak. And then you're feeling good about yourself, right? Your 3-game win streak, you're 2 games above 500. The problem is that that's when the stretch really, really gets tough. You play, I believe, the Packers first. I don't remember if they play the Bills or the Packers first. But after that first game, I think it's the Bills first, maybe. The Bills are coming off of a bye, so that's tough. Then after that, you have 3 games in 11 days. 3 games in 11 days. And it's versus like the Packers, the Bears, and the Rams. That's not easy. And so the 49ers, I think, can go from 1 game under 500 to getting to 500 at the bye to 2 games over 500. So ultimately, I think being 6-6 heading into the final stretch, where you're in the middle of that 3-game span in 11 days versus the Bears, the Rams. At that point, you'll have the Vikings, the Dolphins, and the Cardinals left as well. So things are going to get interesting. I don't know. I just don't see it this year. I've already made my claim. Unfortunately, the 49ers play only Dallas and then have a bye week, and they've got to make a decision on what they want to do this season. Maybe they go mortgage the future and trade for a real big name player and it salvages things. But I think adding little ancillary pieces is kind of pointless. I want to see this team sell. But you know as well as I do that if they beat Dallas, and they probably will, that they are not going to do that. And we're going to see how it plays out. But playoffs, not even like how far can they make it in the playoffs, but playoffs with the Rams now in the mix for the NFC West, playoffs look like it might be something that doesn't even happen this year. And that, if they don't, let me tell you about the biggest disaster that could happen this season. Trifecta. If you don't make the playoffs, Brock Purdy continues to kind of waffle as a player, so you don't know for sure what he is still by the end of this year. And you didn't sell anybody at the deadline. I mean, that would be an absolute disaster heading into the future of this franchise. And I hope for our sake, the team's sake, that at least two of those three are able to happen. So, for example, if they make the playoffs and Brock plays out of his mind, that's good news. If they don't make the playoffs, but Brock plays out of his mind and they trade some guys, that's good news. But if one of the three or none of the three happen, that's not good. You didn't accomplish anything really that you set out to accomplish this year, and that would be unfortunate. So stay tuned. Let's see how this weekend's games go, and I will be back for a post-game after a victory against the Dallas Cowboys, of course.